Dun, 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 dun. All right. How's it going, guys? It's Riley, and this video is gonna be a little different because I'm a little annoyed, and so we're gonna talk about why I'm annoyed. I want to preface this video with something very important. Everything I say here is my opinion. You are free to disagree with my opinion, because everybody has an opinion, something else think they're like an asshole. 2, this is not scripted. I've thought about a lot of this stuff a lot, but I have not written anything down that I plan on saying. And it's going to be pretty chill. I'm probably not going to edit very much. It's probably going to be put up just as much as I record it. 3, I am covered in cat hair because Dot likes to lay on my clothes. I cannot help that. She'll probably be in the back somewhere. It's late. Number 4, I am a 29-year-old adult. The way I see the Sandersides is very different than most of you, who I feel generally encompass your teenage years. So anywhere from 14 to 18, 19 years old. So I have at least 10 years on you guys, maybe even more. So there's a lot of that logic on this too. And 5, Dot is eating. So if you hear crunchy noises, the kitty's eating some delicious dinner. So it's okay, don't worry. Hopefully my audio isn't that great. 6, my phone got an update, so the camera's weirder on this one. So if the video looks shoddy, it's because I don't have a real camera because I'm not a real YouTuber. Anyway, and you can see from the title of this video, I am really wanting to have a discussion about the fandom of the Sandersides. I joined the Sandersides fandom in 2017. It is hard to believe that it's been 3 years that I've been in this fandom. And at first, I was very active. There is cat hair blowing in the wind and now it's in my mouth. And I joined the fandom in September of 2017, I think. I started watching the series that mid of that year, and I didn't really get involved in the fandom because I had left Tumblr from a previous terrible fandom, and I didn't want to go back because I was afraid people might find me. And 2, I didn't really know how to work Twitter at the time, so I didn't really know how to join the Twitter group. There wasn't really a big presence for Thomas on Facebook other than his own Facebook account, which is the site I was probably the most socially active on. And I just didn't really know how to approach a fandom again because of the previous bad fandom I had a few years before. So I was like, what do I do, right? I don't know. So I kind of just laid low, made an account for Twitter, and followed Thomas, and that was pretty much about it. I didn't really do anything else. Until September, when I finally decided, you know what, there's a pretty big fandom on Tumblr, why don't I just join that? So I did. And I made friends. I followed the major bloggers at the time, and just kind of made a home for myself. I did some edits, I did some fanfic, and, what have you. And it was fun. It was really a nice place to be. And I think that a lot of what the problems are now were sparked from Can Lying Be Good? Because before Can Lying Be Good, the fandom was pretty basic. We had our mishaps here and there in terms of, is this character, we don't really have a villain, so we're going to have a lot of redemption stuff with Virgil, or we're going to make up characters. The Dragon Witch was huge back then, and not many people use her, him, they, it anymore. Not really. Like, the Dragon Witch was, the only thing we had for a really long time. And a lot of fanders wrote really awesome stories using the Dragon Witch as the villain. But once Can Lying Be Good came out, it kind of didn't matter anymore, because now we had a real one. Well, sort of. I will admit, you guys can watch my react to Can Lying Be Good. Link will be up in the corner somewhere, and probably down in the description. But, Deceit was such an interesting character in the sense of how he was released. Because Deceit is one of those characters that doesn't ever speak. He's not lying all the time. Number one, let's talk about it like that. But Deceit's also the kind of character that never really says exactly what he means. He wants you to understand what he means, like in a play on words. He wants you to figure it out for yourself. He wants you to be like, oh, that's what you meant. Okay. Also, if I sound a little nasally, I'm getting over the flu, so awesome, homeboys. Forgot to say that at the beginning. That was the number 7 point I was going to say at the beginning. I forgot. Anyway, I have issues with the way this fandom treats Deceit and Remus. Now, I'm going to talk about tagging Discourse in this video. And I know a lot of people will bend over their back and tag everything for everybody. You're a godsend and a very nice sweetheart if you do that on the Tumblr. And there is hair in the air. I have a cat. Guess I'm just going to get over it. And I am willing to tag things to an extent, but I do not believe an entire character requires a trigger warning. I'm not saying that his actions may not require a trigger, because they do. Excuse me, I'm drinking water, so I'm going to burp this entire time, and I'm not going to cut them all out, so whatever. Deceit is not necessarily a good side, but he's not necessarily a bad one either, because we don't really know what he is. Because me and I'll remind you that Virgil only says we know him as Deceit. That doesn't mean we know who he actually is. That's a whole other can of worms that might be a video someday. But the point is that I do not understand why the fandom is so up in arms about a character that embodies lying, something that we all do, and how they immediately twist that idea into this manipulating, selfish, evil bastard. You do realize he still has to be part of Thomas, right? Like, you know, it's even weird that there's even a lying side anyway, because, like, if Patton is so against the idea of lying, which, you know, Thomas's morality, if he's so against lying, why does a lying side even exist at all? Is that even really what he is? Again, video for another day. But the whole point of this idea is the fact that it seems, at least to me on Tumblr, that so many people want to have trigger warning Deceit, Deceit trigger warning Deceit Sanders. How many different ways can we tag this one single character? And they're wanting to tag him when he just exists in a picture. It doesn't even have to be him with another side, like in a shippy way. It's just him as a piece of art. And underneath, when people reblog it, they reblog it, trigger warning Deceit. Why? Like, how is just a picture of him bad enough? Now, okay, if Deceit triggers you so terribly that you can't see any images of him at all, I understand. Fine. If you have to avoid episodes with him, fine. But we don't need 17,000 different trigger tags for one character when you could just tag his name. Just tag his name. That's all I do. And I'm sorry, but if you follow me on Tumblr, I will not tag the sides any specific way other than their names. Because I shouldn't have to, because a character shouldn't inherently have a trigger just because the character exists. Now, if the character isn't a comic in the picture that I reblog, the art or the fanfic or whatever it might be, and they are manipulating in the comic, they are doing something else, I will tag their action as well as individually tagging their name. And that's it. This also comes up with Remus, too. Remus literally has... I can't even name all the triggers that he has, and I don't even think I want to. Tags that he has. I misspoke. I don't understand why we need the trigger warning Remus trigger warning Remus Sanders, Duke Don't Look. Just tag the character's name and tag the action or whatever the character is doing in the image, comic, fanfic itself, instead of having to tag 17,000 different things. So when this one person who might be, triggered by this character's actions has to sit there and write down a list of 17,000 different ways to tag a character to make sure they don't see them come across their thing, or they have to unfollow people they like because, I don't know, this one user tags it trigger warning Remus, and Remus Sanders, and this other person tags it trigger warning just Remus, TS Remus, and just Remus's name alone. That right there is 6 tags that this person has to bother blocking now. Why can't we all just use Remus Sanders, Deceit Sanders, single Remus, single Deceit, and that's it? I mean, that's how Thomas tags them. When he reblogs fan art on Tumblr, all he tags them with is their, first name, and that's it. He doesn't do any kind of trigger warnings. He doesn't even use our Duke Don't Look tag that we made up as a fandom, because I don't even know if he knows it exists. So just tag them by their name, and that's all you need to do. Now, if there's gore in it, like if Remus is there and maybe he's dressed as Joan was in the episode, and he's got, blood all over his mouth and maybe a severed arm or something, then yeah, you tag Remus Sanders, and then you tag gore trigger warning. The TW goes after, because the Tumblr's tagging system is stupid. You have to put the word that you want to block first, and then the TW next to it, okay? Okay. So, that way, you're not tagging Remus, because Remus inherently is not a triggering. It's usually the effect of what he brings along with him. Because him as a character, I don't believe really deserves a trigger warning. It's more like his actions and the things that he does that people don't like. Same with Deceit. Deceit isn't necessarily a bad character or an evil person. It's more along the lines of the things that he might bring with him. Bringing, like, manipulation or lying or conniving or whatever other reason people don't like Deceit. I don't know. So it's just easier to tag the action the character is doing separate from the actual character. That way, when people who might get, triggered by either one of these characters, all they have to do is tag one tag, and they don't have to see the character at all. Now, for those of you who are like, well, I like Remus and Deceit, but I don't like it when people put them out of character, or I don't like it, so we need unsympathetic tags. Okay, I don't know what the fandom's brilliant idea is about this tagging of AU ideas of a character, but that's what AUs are for. AUs are meant to be this alternate universe where the character isn't acting exactly as they would in canon. I guess it started with Unsympathetic Patton, I guess, when the whole idea came up that it's his fault that that creativity split, and now he's evil for some reason. I can't follow this fandom. I guess I'm showing my age at this point. Like, I don't know, but I'm just like, it's not... I don't know. I really want to enjoy the fandom, but it seems like every other day there's some kind of drama. And now, I'm going to get in on the real meat of why I made this video. Like I said in the very beginning, a lot of you are probably young. I'm going to assume that a lot of you are in between the ages of 14 and 21. Somewhere around in there. So I'm at least 10 years older than you, if a little less. Hi, baby. Hi, baby. You're a good girl. And I don't dislike rimrom chippers. Okay, pick your drop off the floor and let me talk. So, right after Dealing with Intrusive Thoughts came out, and we all had this big revelation that Roman and Remus were siblings, and we have this brother dynamic in the series now, and it was really cool and fun because, God, if brothers isn't one of my favorite things in media in general, siblings at all, because I am an older sister, and I've just always, growing up, loved the dynamic between siblings, regardless of the gender of the siblings, or they're without. And that's why I was so excited for us to have a closer than the rest of the sides relationship, because they're not technically siblings. But I remember shortly after Dealing with Intrusive Thoughts came out that we had this upheaval of those dirty, nasty rimrom shippers. Oh my god, they're so gross. They're shipping brothers together. Can you believe that? Newsflash, guys. We all ship one guy with his own personality. I don't think we have any room to talk. Like, I number one, they're not brothers, okay? Like, I know that the twin analogy is used. I know everybody calls them the creativity twins. I know they both represent creativity, but they're not siblings, okay? They're not. They don't share a mom. They're not human, number one. Like, I mean, that's the number one thing, is they're not even human, so they can't be siblings. You know, they don't even exist. They're figments of a guy's imagination that look like character traits of his personality, okay? You know, they don't have a mom, so they can't be brothers, and they both represent the same trait. That's the closest thing they get to being related at all. So, all of you people that keep posting on Tumblr saying, rimrom shippers don't interact, and you're being so petty and pathetic. If you ship anything in the Sandersides at all. If you're going to sit there and go attack these shippers who are liking this ship from their own corner of Tumblrverse, and yet you sit there and continuously go into their ass box and tell them that they are horrible, icky, nasty people shipping incest. Guess what, guys? Shipping incest is not new. Welcome to the internet. Shipping incest has been around since before I was even, like, in fandoms at all. Before the internet was even a thing, people shipped incest. So, if it's not harming anyone and both of the characters are of an adult age, get the fuck over it. I'm sorry. Like, there are so many worse things to be worried about in this world than two characters that aren't even technically siblings at all going in and having to... I won't reblog art if it says rimrom shippers don't interact, and I love Roman and Remus, like, in a relationship in terms of their sibling stuff. I don't ship them. I'm gonna go ahead and say that. I'm defending rimrom shippers, and I don't even ship it, okay? So, like, I won't reblog. If somebody has an amazing piece of art, this awesome piece of art that is Roman and Remus, let's say they're doing, like, swords and shield stuff, and it's being all cool and stuff, and it looks really awesome. If that artist writes at the bottom, rimrom shippers don't interact, guess what? You're not getting my like or my reblog. Stop policing what people can reblog. If you're going to put your art out... Now, here's the thing. If you don't like the ship, you're allowed to not like it. I'm not saying you have to be like, oh, no, it's a fun ship. No, you don't have to. Dislike it if you want. It's fine. But you can't sit there and police what people enjoy that you create. Like... That's, like, one of the main things I love about Thomas and Joan in terms of, like, the story that they've created here in the Sandersides. That, like, Joan continuously, they always say this in live streams, but they're always like, we don't want to tell you how we want you to react to our work. Like, our work is so subjective. We have an original idea, yes, but we don't really want to tell you because it kind of takes away from the fun of developing your own lore and your own canon, your own idea and interpretation of what the characters are trying to tell you, what the series is trying to teach you, which is important. It's good that they don't do that. But that's the same thing whenever you create art. Now, okay, I'm not saying that somebody can take your art and reblog it and add, like, a rimrom fanfic underneath it. Like, no, they shouldn't do that. They should post their own fanfic on their own timeline and tag it appropriately and all that stuff. But all this harassment of rimrom shippers don't even look at me, like, it's not real incest, guys. And if you think this is bad, God, stay out of fandom. I'm serious. Stay out of fandom. It's only gonna get worse if you think this is bad. And I'm not saying you have to go to look at Roman and Remus fan art that's sexual in nature or read fanfics that are sexual in nature. You just need to leave the people who do alone. There is absolutely no reason to go around harassing them. Do you really think that Thomas gives a shit? Like, Thomas and Joan and Talon and Camden and Adri and Quill and everybody who's involved in making the Sandersides doesn't really talk about what the fandom does because they don't really care. It's as long as it's not hurting anybody else, and people writing incest does not hurt you. Don't even start with that. Just leave it alone and let it be. People have dabbled in twisted ideas and thoughts for so many years that it's not going to kill you that your show all of a sudden has a pairing that might be considered incest on some route, even though we all ship one dude with himself and the different parts of himself with himself, so it's all self-cessed anyway. The world's not going to explode just because a person who might ship Rimrom reblogged your art, appreciating your art. Yes, they have no right to tag it as Rimrom, and they shouldn't, and I'm not going to sit here and say that the Rimrom shippers are completely innocent either, but I remember vividly going through, I don't remember the Rimrom shipper's name, I don't. I wish I had their Tumblr on hand, but I don't know what it is, and even then I probably wouldn't say it anyway, because God knows I just opened them up for more harassment. They were tagging Rimrom stuff, and living their own corner. They had their own side blog of the Rimrom stuff. They were tagging it all appropriately. And they still had people coming into their Anon box saying they were a piece of shit who didn't deserve to live. How dare they ship brothers together, you nasty, disgusting, dirty filth. What the fuck, guys? Like, there is no reason for this. There is no reason. They are figments of a dude's imagination. They're not human. They're not brothers. The twins is an analogy because they both share creativity. If Roman and Remus were not both creativity, the brother analogy wouldn't even exist. Like, it wouldn't, by that logic, the rest of them are siblings. Like, Patton and Virgil are closer to each other than Roman and Remus are. And yet Moxiety is one of the most popular shippings in the fandom. Like, I don't understand why the whole fandom had to fucking explode over the fact that there are characters that might be kind of like siblings, sort of, not really, it's kind of loose, but, oh God, don't ship them because, oh, that's incest, and that's creepy. Like, if incest squicks you, or triggers you, or whatever the situation might be, tag it, and let it go. There is no reason to run around to people who ship it, and just harass them. Like, there's just not. I don't ship it. And guess what? I don't ever see it either, because either A, Rimrom shippers are good at tagging their stuff, so I don't have to see it unless I want to go look for it, or I'm not following the right people, which if someone reblogs sexual Rimrom and I don't want to see it, oh, I'll just unfollow them. Cater your Tumblr to your own wants and needs that you want to see in your fandoms. If someone won't tag something when they reblog, then you need to unfollow them. And if you don't want to, because you do like some of the things that they like, then suffer. Because it's not fair. You have to cater your own fandom experience on the internet. What you see is what you get. And you have to sit there and be like, I can't deal with this today. Unfollow. I can't deal with this today. Block. Oh, and by the way, my Tumblr will be in the description, so feel free to block me because I'm defending Rimrom shippers, but whatever. So, I can't handle the amount of hatred I see flowing through this fandom anymore. Because I'm not going to say there wasn't any hatred when I first joined the fandom, but man, it's gotten a lot worse since the dark side showed up, and I wonder if that's the trend. Because, oh, I don't know, dark sides are the part of ourselves that we don't like. Kind of ironic that the fandom kind of turned to shit once they showed up. Because, you know, we can't have Deceit show up because, oh man, that put Patton in a bad light, and Patton's the dad, and he's always supposed to be the good, pure, beautiful character that never does anything wrong, because he's not part of a, flawed human who's obviously going to have flaws too. And, oh God, we have Remus, who's a little, gory and likes scary stuff and is a little bit, creepy and, he likes to watch stuff in the nude and whatever, like, God forbid he be a part of the, pure character that is Thomas Sanders, because no, Thomas is perfect. He can't have any flaws at all. I mean, he's not a flawed human or anything, so can't have any of that, can we? I am just a little annoyed. It's easy to tell, isn't it? So, there's that tea spilt. And with all that being said, guys, I don't care what your gender is. I don't care what your sex is. I don't care who you love, who you hate. if you don't love or hate anything, I don't care what your romantic orientation is. I don't care what you wear. I don't care how you do your hair. I don't care what you eat. I don't care what you do. Just respect other people. Gosh diddly darn it. Because in the grand scheme of things, this is an online series by a solo creator that we don't need to bring all this negativity bullshit from the fandom to him, because he doesn't deserve it. He's trying to make a living, trying to make something entertaining, and by constantly ridiculing and belittling everything that he creates, you know he sees it, right? Like, there's absolutely no way that Thomas doesn't know anything about this. About the Deceit Discourse when it happened, when Can Lying Be Good came out, and all the Remus Discourse whenever Remus premiered and Dealing with Intrusive Thoughts. There's no way he doesn't know this stuff exists. He does. And it's ridiculous that we have this group of people in this fandom that want to police each other's experience of the show that they're watching. Because a lot of people, when Unsympathetic Patton started, a lot of people were like, well, Patton's a character I see myself in, so I don't really like seeing him in this light, so can we all tag it? And it's like, well, yeah, of course we can tag it, duh. So, like, we tag it, because, yeah, the way people write Unsympathetic Patton kind of makes him look controlling and manipulative and stuff, and while he has dabbled in that stuff in the series, it's not really his character, so, yeah, that's a little out of character, sure. But then when people who like really like Deceit or really like Remus or see a lot of their own personality in those two characters, and people turn them into unsympathetic, manipulative, abusing characters that we can't give the same respect and tag them as unsympathetic too, because by nature the fact that they are dark sides means they're 100% evil. No, that's not how that works, guys. If a character is being out of character at all in terms of greatly extrapolating their own personality into an abusive or manipulative situation, like if Deceit were to take Virgil captive and abuse him, that's unsympathetic Deceit, and you need to tag it, because that's not how Deceit acts. Deceit doesn't act that way. He couldn't control Virgil in like the actual setting. Virgil would kick his ass probably, and Remus, you know, if he for some reason were to capture Roman, and like, yeah, I know he hit him with the Morning Star sickle thing, whatever the fuck that thing's called. I know he hit him with that in his introduction, but like, just that one instance doesn't mean that if somebody writes a fic that Remus is sitting there and beating the shit out of Roman, causing him to bleed in the imagination, that's unsympathetic Remus, and you need to tag it. Like, anything that's crazy out of this way that wouldn't happen in the show is unsympathetic, and you need to tag it. I'm sorry. Like, I don't understand why this is even an issue in this fandom, but I guess I should, because a lot of you are kids. And I'm not trying to talk down to you as like an adult or anything, but when you get to be my age, you will understand how petty and little dumb shit this is. Like, you're free to have your own opinion. I'm not saying you can't have your own opinion, so don't take it that way. But, like, you have to understand that the way that you see things now is such a small bubble. And I know it's only 10 years. I'm only at most 10 years older than most of you. Maybe if you're around the 14, 15 spectrum, I get a little bit more older than you, of course, 14 to 15 years, but that's a long time. And when you're in a fandom, been in fandoms as long as I have, it's really easy to lose sight of why you're in that fandom in the first place. You're there because you all like the same shit, and it's not fun to sit there and police what other people enjoy. And even after all this, if you still don't want Rim shippers to fuck with your shit, then whatever. You're not going to get a reblog from me if at the bottom of every single post you have a little thing that says, don't, Rim shippers, don't interact. Rim shippers, if you touch this, I'm going to kick your ass, or whatever the fuck people put at the bottom of their fan art anymore. Like, I'm not going to reblog it. Sorry. And that's also something else to talk about when it comes to the tags, is like, if you reblog a simple fan art, and all it is of Deceit in his outfit. It's just a glamour photo, a glamour piece of art of him standing there looking suave as fuck, because that's how Deceit looks, and you tag it trigger warning Deceit, I ain't reblogging that. Deceit as a character initially doesn't need a trigger warning. If you draw a piece of art that's Remus and he's just sitting there looking like a cute little dapper with his little mustache, and he's not doing anything creepy, he doesn't have like a funny look on his face, and he doesn't have any blood or any gore or anything around him, and he's just standing there, and you tag it with Duke Don't Look, I ain't gonna reblog it. I'm just not. Because it's stupid. There's no reason to tag that. There is no reason to tag it. Just tag it Remus Sanders and move on. It would be so much easier. It's so totally, wholly unnecessary. And people are going to get mad at me for this video. I know they are. They're going to be like, oh, you're so insensitive. You don't have triggers. You don't know what it's like. I don't have triggers of a normal sort. The triggers I have would not come up in this fandom. Not really. And even if they did, it is my responsibility to protect and cater my Tumblr viewing to what I can handle. It is not anybody else's responsibility to take care of that for me. And to sit there and think that you can go to every single blog you follow and be like, hey, I need you to block this specific tag specifically for me. They're not all going to do it. Because it's your responsibility to take care of what you see on your own screen. And that's why it would just be easier if we just tagged all the sides the same way. I really have to burp. I apologize. But I have gone on long enough. It's late and I'm sleepy. So I don't know when you guys are going to see this video. I don't know if I'm going to edit the damn thing. I may just post it how it is. But regardless, I'll be back soon. I had the flu for like a week and a half. And I really haven't done much of anything else because depression is a bitch and winter sucks and I really want spring. Because spring is prettier and nicer and warmer, and I hate winter because it's cold and dark and damp and ew. Because all it does is rain here, and I hate it. But hey, I did get something cute. I got Pikachu. It's the Build-A-Bear Pikachu. He's special. His name is Sparky. And he's in love with CJ's Flareon. Ember. They have a cute relationship, okay? Ember's in the other room, though. But anyway, I hope y'all have a pleasant day. Cater your viewing of the internet to your own needs. Try to get along with everybody. There's no need for all this hatred in this fandom made by a man who is trying his best in the world to be a kind and wonderful human. And I know you all are able and capable of the same thing. So I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye. I'm gonna sleep now. I'm freaking tired.